So yesterday was Easter, where we celebrated the resurrection, and it was an abnormal one at the best, abnormal. Um, but resurrection is never normal. But now it's Monday, and tomorrow will be Tuesday, and we go back to our regular lives, our jobs. Some of us go back to preparing for planting and working in the field. Some of us go back to working at home in our new normal. Some of us go back to our regular jobs that we can still go to. And it's interesting, I think, that we move on pretty quickly past Easter Sunday and we celebrate Jesus as Lord, and then we get back into life. And I sometimes wonder, how do we carry the resurrection with us? And maybe you wonder that too, because it's a weird thing. And how do you take that with you back into your regular life? And I think we don't reflect on the post-resurrection stories in the Gospels very much. And those are actually really interesting stories, especially in the Gospel of Luke and the Gospel of John. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus has been raised, but the disciples still struggle. Here are some snippets from the Gospel of Luke in chapter 24. The disciples struggle to remember that Jesus had talked about being raised from the dead. They don't believe. They think that the resurrection seems like nonsense. They go away wondering. Jesus comes up to them, but they can't recognize him. They simply don't see Jesus when he's right in front of them. They're startled, they're frightened, they're troubled, they have doubts. They struggle to believe. Eventually, Jesus, it says, he opens their minds. But it's a process, and it takes a while. It's not quick. It's not easy. And I think that's the case with the resurrection. We go back to our lives. In the Gospel of John, the disciples go back to fishing, and Jesus shows up where they're working. It doesn't happen overnight, and we need God to open our minds to the resurrection in our daily lives. And that's okay that we go back to our lives and maybe we forget. We need to be reminded. Maybe we don't see Jesus that easily in our lives. We need him to show up and open our minds. So I encourage you to, as you are going back into your regular lives or your regular lives this week, to don't go back too quickly and don't forget. He is risen. And maybe it is as simple as reminding one another as you see those around you who are part of our church or part of another church. Maybe take the bold move to say, he is risen, to remind each other. And of course, someone might respond back, he is risen indeed. Or maybe it might just be a smile, a reminder that he is risen. And yes, it takes our human minds a while to get our heads around that idea. The resurrection doesn't change the world around us. It changes us. And as the Gospel of Luke says, we are witnesses to that in our lives. So the resurrection might not change our everyday life, but it changes us. And through us, the world around us is changed because the Spirit of the risen Lord works in our lives. As we are reminded, as we remember, and as God opens our minds to see him around us. He is risen. Take it with you today. We'll see you soon.